learning to love yourself is one of the scariest things you'll ever do.
I'm just in it for the thrill of it. I just want to get the hang of this, and I know there is no cure.
Yes, we're 10 days into 75 Love, and I'm counting it. I'm also not counting it because at this point, this is not really a restricted to 75 day journey that we're going on, because the more I dig into things, the more that I kind of push and poke and pull and prod and like pick at like a scab of emotional healing, the more that I come up, the more that it just kind of floods out, and we have this journey where I'm grateful that I've given myself the 75 day window that kind of just establishes some kind of boundaries for it. But at the same time, like if I was doing this as 75 hard, I would have quit on day 2. Just, it would have been done. Last week was really tough for me, and I had a night where I thought like, I couldn't be filming this. Like I could be crying on camera right now and I could be that person. And at the same time, I was just literally in my bed bawling. I don't think I've ever cried as much as I have in the last 6 months. And a lot of that has to do with other things. A lot of that just is a part of the journey, but I also do think that I'm going to be looking into like getting some actual doctor help soon, more so because I think my hormones, I think internally I'm off. I think systemically there are some things that are just making all of the mental health side of this worse and more intense. And that was a discovery today. But I definitely had some moments last week where as I'm doing this, as I'm navigating, as I'm really trying to heal at the same time, one of the things that I'm trying to do is identify any of my cues. And we are ready for tea, so pause please. I have this cute little teacup. She's real hot. But I love a good cup of tea. We're not gonna drink that now. I'd burn my face off. But I had a moment last week where I kind of hit an emotional landmine, and it was an opportunity for me to see how I mentally responded, what my emotional cues were for it, and then what like I stopped to do automatically to heal or deal with that within the next however minutes. And some of that was emotional eating. And I honestly am at a point with emotional eating where it doesn't necessarily make me feel good. Like it doesn't help. It's not something that I do and feel better about. But I've kind of had to say, okay, what is something different that I could do with this kind of going from feeling something really heavy or really overwhelming or something kind of coming out of nowhere, and how do I put that in a space that I can be there with the emotion and then move on. So for me, music has been very helpful with that, and just taking the time to say, okay, like when I want to focus on expanding on something, manifesting, we're gonna have some woo-woo conversation today, when I want to picture stuff, when I really want to visualize and kind of lean into all of that, there's science for it, athletes use it, there are a lot of people that use manifesting and visualization, all of that jazz. But for that, I use music because I find that it's a little bit easier to connect to the emotions, that they're kind of already there, and then I can be really intentional about it. And I just know that during whatever length of the song that I'm doing, that's where I'm at. So that's also something that I'm working towards, is that when I'm feeling those things, that I'm also giving myself the space to feel them in a way that works for me. That's not like me trying to give my brain extra boundaries. It's more of, okay, this is like the idiot proof guide of the song starts, we listen, we feel whatever thing is, the song's done, we play a new song, and we shift to whatever's next. And that works very well for me. It's something that's like slightly been trained for me over the years, but I think that that's a big part of this. And I honestly just wanted to title this video, Emotions Are Hard. Like, nobody said emotions would be this hard, because to be fair, and I think this is the case for a lot of our generation, I've never been taught how to feel things, or how to safely feel things, or to be in your emotions and to kind of live with them and navigate with them. And I think a lot of actors have that advantage of, you're literally taught kind of how to bring that in and out of your life and what that looks like, and creating pockets for that, versus everyone else in more creative fields there's not necessarily those boundaries talked about as easily. And if you haven't been in therapy, or if you haven't really had the conversations about it, then how are you supposed to know how to feel? Like, you just have a feeling and it's there and you do something with it and you hopefully survive it. Like, that's kind of what emotions feel like a lot of the time. So I've definitely had a few breakdowns recently, and today I think was a breaking through point. I don't know how to explain it because it's so new and I want to be able to explain it. And I think for me, I've been looking at manifesting alongside of all of the other healing that I'm doing. And if you haven't really dabbled in manifesting, that might not make the sense that I like, that might not have the impact that I want it to. But for me, a lot of this is dealing with limiting beliefs, dealing with self-doubts, understanding what I want and why I want it, and what is actually going to help me get there. And then also kind of being in the space of like, one of the things that I've been trying to figure out how to do is how to do it quicker. That's, you know, not wanting to be patient, wanting to move forward. And I have had this like tension in my body for the last week, like in my neck for the last week, where I felt like I couldn't really turn it. It's a little bit better now, but I can definitely still feel it there. And that for me is a physical manifestation of me not listening to something that God and the universe is like, listen, we would like to talk. And so I've been trying to get more clear on that and identify what that looks like for me. And if you are a content creator, you run something, like, I think anybody can relate to it, but there are certain things where you set them down in your life and you go to pick them back up and you don't want to hold it, or you don't want to hold it in the same capacity, and you're just like, I don't know how this works now, and it feels like you suddenly have a brain fog around that. For me, that's been Instagram recently, and I'm taking the space that I need for it. But today I decided to do my human design chart, and I'm not necessarily the most woo-woo person out there. I'm becoming more woo-woo as we go. I don't know that I will ever be like, here are the crystals you need in your life. I buy them because if they have good juju and they feel like they have good juju, that's great. But I will probably never remember to charge them or do any of the proper things with them. I just think they're pretty. But I sat down today to do my human design chart, and human design is quite extensive, and it's something that I've always been like, why are there people who read these charts? These charts are insane, and it's a lot of information. And I sat down to read mine today, and it made so much sense. And I didn't fully read it, and I did some Googling and kind of got that. And I definitely think I'm in a place now in dealing with stuff, and it's part of growth. It's a part of learning during 75 Love. Where I'm kind of in the, before my mentality was I have to do it all by myself. I have to figure it all out by myself. I have to do all of these things by myself. And I realized, especially when the pandemic hit and I was forced to slow down for the first time in like 15 years. And then kind of coming back out of that, realizing, oh, I didn't have a lot of things that I wanted simply because I'd really taken that mentality I had adopted from family and parents and all that jazz, and just kind of put myself in a position of no one was ever going to make me happy because I wasn't ever giving anybody the opportunity to support me. We will go into that video and another one soon. But looking at my design chart today and realizing, because I had a couple of these moments today where I've just kind of come to the conclusion that I'm in that space now where the best thing that I can do for myself on a regular basis is to ask for help. And then I can Google and kind of start to see the things that I want to see. But for my mental health and for my sanity, like, I can have the space where I just take care of this over here. This is what I'm responsible for. And after that, I can just ask for help. It was a big realization for me today, is that I was listening to Skinny Confidential podcast, and I haven't listened to it in a while. And I was listening to Lauren talk about losing the baby weight. And she was talking about getting her hormones tested. And when I first started my health journey, and I will give you guys all of the tools because I think they're helpful if you're at the beginning of this, or maybe you don't have the budget for it, or you just kind of aren't fully ready to like ask for help. I find one of the problems with living where I live in the US is that I don't necessarily have access to the types of people that I want to have access to here. Just because there's a limited mindset. I want somebody, when I'm asking for health help, is gonna give me a medicine option while also giving me like a dietary option, and maybe we lean into one more than the other. But when I was listening to Warren talk about getting tested earlier today, I thought I'm at the point now where I don't want to have to put myself through the 5 to 6 months that it's going to take, or however many months it's going to take to really get my body to holistically go back. If I can give myself the extra bit of help to pop myself out of this like crevice, I want to do that. So I don't really know that I had any super intentional intentions for this conversation. I wanted to sit down though, because I think that at the end of the day, going through this space of healing and just being willing to sit through all the shit that you find out about yourself and being like, okay, well, what do I do with that, is a lot. And I would encourage you to do your human design test. Because for me, I realized today, one, apparently, and it makes very much sense for me, my power is in communicating in my voice and speaking. So obviously I've picked the path that I've picked for myself, and I kind of tweaked my schedule and just realigned myself, and we'll see how the next few weeks go, and I will continue to share that with you guys as I'm leaning into it. But it just gave such clarity for me today, and I think I really needed that. I really needed to understand that I wasn't as crazy as I felt, and that there were some things that were just very distinct about my path that I needed to walk and were going to work for me or not work for me. But this journey is very much about, like, I could have started this journey and said, we're doing 75 hard, we're going to lose weight, we're going to do whatever, like, we're going to work out 90 minutes a day, we're going to read, we're going to do all these things. And that would miss the point of this, which is why I did not do that. And that's just getting to know yourself on that like intimate level, and learning to kind of pull away from the noise and being able to find happiness sooner versus later, because you're taking the time to say, well, what do I want? What do I need? And what's preventing me from having it? Is it a belief that I'm carrying? Is it somebody else's belief that I've decided to take on as my own? Is it some internal health problem that maybe I haven't been dealing with? Is there something about this that I can build the life that I want, that feels like a life that I love, that is something that I want to consistently do? Because it's really easy to follow influencers, and obviously I am one and I love us, but you know, you can follow these people who are doing all of these things, and at a certain point it can be hard to cherry pick the things that you want for yourself. You might follow all of the girls who are in the gym lifting weights, and that just doesn't feel like the right vibe for you. Or that might not be what you need in this season. I have recently canceled my gym membership, and I have one to a boxing gym. And my goal is to do a tread boot camp once a week, do a light tread run another time a week, to box, and then to kind of fill in the other gaps with Pilates and, you know, walking and other things there, and just being in the flow of it and not being so harsh on myself that I didn't do 2 hours in the gym, or I didn't do 90 minutes in the gym. That my day looks like, when am I going to make time to work out? Like, when am I going to make time to move my body and be with other people? Because for me, I really just find that right now the best thing for my energy is to be in the space of certain people, and when I'm going to make time to walk. Those are the two things that I try to put in my day, and then everything else can fit around that. But y'all, this journey is a lot, and I wanted to do like little updates this week, but it just didn't feel like that was going to be the vibe of this. I felt like I needed to just sit down and have tea and talk with you and be honest about the fact that learning to love yourself is one of the scariest things you'll ever do. Because when you're choosing to show up and sit at the table with yourself and say, okay, I'm willing to be very honest with myself about all of the things that I come to the table with. And if I like them, I like them. And if I don't, I don't. But I need to understand why they're here, why they're in my luggage, why I'm bringing them place to place, and what that means for me. And I just want to give you all a virtual hug if you've decided to join me in this journey. Because I think one of the best things that we can do for ourselves is make time for that, and to just be honest. Be honest in a way that is often incredibly scary and may require some additional help, but puts us on the other side of this as a version of ourselves that we could have never imagined that we would be, because we were just so busy lugging all our crap from place to place. So that is all I have for you guys today. I will be uploading, my goal is to upload 2 videos a week, so you guys will get this one, and then I think I'm gonna do a style with me video later this week. That's something I really needed to do for my life lately, is to just be intentional about dressing myself, because part of this journey means dealing with the most important part every week, and weight loss isn't necessarily the most important part. Sometimes the most important part of the week is just getting me from point A to point B, and then hopefully figuring out what's like actually going on with my hormones. I'm hoping to find a functional medicine doctor for that too. So all of the things, but I upload once to twice a week, and I'm also going to be uploading more posts on the blog, as well as I think we're going to have some fun Instagram content. Y'all, I'm trying to figure out that bubble, but it is there. Mini blogs are there, random bits and bobs. If you want to talk about movies, we talk about movies on stories like nightly. I don't know what is tonight's movie. I found the next one. There's going to be one for Valentine's Day. We're going to be talking about that soon. But yeah, it's all fun. It's all good. We're all about healing, and it's going to be a good time, I think. 1 week, 1 day, 1 5-minute chunk at a time, we will get there. I love you. It is a good day. Have a good day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.